Just got done recording some Call of Duty, just waiting on the files to transfer right now. And it got me thinking, am I ever going to quit playing Call of Duty? I noticed that got super unfocused, but I think we're in focus now. But yeah, back to the question at hand. Will I ever quit playing Call of Duty? I've definitely been asked this question a lot before, and I'm sure you guys are curious to know, because I've been playing this series since Call of Duty 4. I've been through so many games. I've seen the highs, I've seen the lows and stuff, and some people would, probably argue we're in a low right now. Although, it's interesting because Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer, I feel like, has been handled pretty well by Sledgehammer Games. Like, sure, it's another Modern Warfare 2019, like, I get where people are coming from. It's because it's all running, like, all these new games, they're pretty much all running on the same unified engine, which it's like, it puts us in such a weird position because it's like the games should be improving significantly and getting a lot better since they're using the same engine and they're building upon that. But at the same time, we have years like Modern Warfare 2 where the game is really hyped and it becomes like the fastest and highest selling Call of Duty game of all time. But then when it comes to actual innovation and features and stuff like that, it kind of felt like Infinity Ward really did not step up. And then the following year, we get Modern Warfare 3, and Sledgehammer Games is actually trying really hard, and they're doing everything, well, maybe not everything, but they're doing a lot of things right, It's actually just crazy, though, because it really feels like Sledgehammer's delivering what we should have gotten last year, and that's just obviously frustrated and upset a lot of people, because a lot of people bought Modern Warfare 2, going into the mindset that it was going to be a 2-year life cycle for a Call of Duty game, and then they just, sold it as the $70 DLC. But I gotta say, though, for a $70 DLC, the game is actually pretty good. I just got done playing the, basically, like, the Black Ops 3 free run map on Modern Warfare 3, and that was so good. It's so much fun. I'm gonna be hopping back on it after I finish, like, editing this video, because I want to try to figure out, like, the fastest routes. I did replay it a couple of times at this point, and I've definitely found some shortcuts, and I want to try to share that stuff with you guys. Even if this game mode is not going to be in there for that long over the weekend, actually, come to think of it, by the time you guys see this video, it's probably not even gonna matter, like, the discussion about this, because it's an LTM, it probably will be gone, which is something that I feel like we need to talk about as well. I really do feel strongly that one of the biggest potential downfalls of Call of Duty is going to be the fact that they treat it like a live service and like limited time game modes. I get it. This is a parkour map. It's a brand new experience. And that kind of stuff, that makes sense for a limited time mode, limited time content that you can play and you have to be on at a certain time. But what gets so frustrating with Call of Duty specifically is the fact that they treat almost everything now like an LTM, like 10v10 mosh pit, right? Sometimes it's in the game, sometimes it's not. That doesn't make sense. Back in the day, we had 9v9 ground war all the time. You could play it anytime you wanted to. I hate the idea. And not even just 10v10, that's just an example. Like, I think probably the best example is really party game modes in Call of Duty. Like, gun game, one of the chamber, which one of the chambers in the game right now, right? But a couple weeks from now, it's probably going to be gone. Even next week, it could be gone. That's what is so frustrating, is the fact that basically core game modes and things that we came to expect year after year in Call of Duty are just not in the game. And honestly, game modes have to be the prime example because they're treating them like limited time modes, even though they're clearly not. Like, we could have all of this stuff in the game all the time, day one, but they just don't do it. And that's what is so frustrating. And this is just some friendly advice for Call of Duty. If you guys want to do limited time game modes or have like limited time content, I really think it should be brand new stuff, whether that's maps or game modes, whatever the case may be. Just don't make it stuff that we've already like played so many times before, and especially in games where it was a regular thing. But I don't know, I still just wish they would not go the live service route. Like, I do understand times are changing, the game is growing and evolving, we're basically like COD boomers at this point. Not willing or ready to accept the change that's coming, but I mean, they're gonna do whatever they want. They run the show however they see fit. But yeah, it's just frustrating. I will say one thing, regardless of all the live service and LTM stuff, all that kind of talk. Obviously, I need to get back to the main question, will I ever quit Call of Duty? And you guys are probably going to hate this answer, but I don't think I will. I think I might have had this conversation with Matt. I know I've definitely had this conversation with Karina and stuff because we always talk about, gaming and stuff that's going on. There are a lot of reasons why I would just never quit the Call of Duty series. I think first and foremost, a lot of you guys found me and like about me and all the stuff I do because of Call of Duty, because of how many videos I've made, how long I've covered the game, and how much I'm going to most likely continue covering Call of Duty. Especially for the main channel, Merc Music, it is a huge, fundamental part of the channel, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the Call of Duty series being so popular, and for so many of you guys finding my content through the game. But I do consider that to be an external factor, so like, what if I wasn't streaming on Twitch or uploading videos to YouTube, right? Would I still be playing Call of Duty the way that I am now? I want to say probably not, but here's the thing. The reason I won't quit playing Call of Duty, and I'm sure it's the reason you guys won't quit playing Call of Duty as well, is because the games are still just good enough to get you to buy the game every year. So what exactly do I mean by that? Well, think about it like this. Where exactly is Halo in the conversation right now? Like, how is Halo Infinite doing? How is Battlefield 2042 doing? How's Apex Legends doing, you know? Even Counter-Strike. And, you know, Counter-Strike's doing well. All these other games, they're still doing fine. But here's the thing. If you like Call of Duty, the game is still good enough, and it's still offering you enough year over year to get you to still buy and play the game. And I mean it when I say this. There is nothing currently on the market that comes close to what Call of Duty is doing. And before you come at me with an angry comment, let me just explain what I'm trying to say there, because obviously some of it is subjective. You could be saying, no, the newer Call of Duty games are not good and I'm not playing them. I understand that perspective, but what I'm saying though is that the games themselves, whether you personally really enjoy it or not, they are still good enough to get people to buy the game every single year. And as long as they can still maintain a certain amount of the formula and they can still maintain enough of the consistency of what makes people like the series, then yeah, people are still going to be playing the game and they're just not going to quit. Because the truth of the matter is that there really isn't any other FPS game that is quite like Call of Duty. It's just competitive enough to get people interested in ranked play and, you know, want to watch the CDL and, you know, kind of dive into that side of things. But it's also casual and stupid enough so that way, you know, like people like me will still enjoy the game and have fun. Like, and they're constantly doing and trying new things. I mean, granted, they also do rehash a lot of the old, nostalgic, and favorite things that people have come to expect, but that is the balance. That is the balance they've stricken, and it's the reason why people will not quit. This series just walks that perfect fine line of casual competitive. This is something that David Vonderhaar, especially around the time of Black Ops 2, really championed with multiplayer, and it's the reason why Call of Duty is still successful after all of these years. It's because it's very easy to get into the game, and it's a game that's relatively easy and quick to master. Like, when you go from basically the skill floor to the skill ceiling of the game and you start to play more and progress and get better, you realize that you do get capped at a certain point. Like, you can only get so good at Call of Duty, right? Compared to like a game like Counter-Strike. But since the skill ceiling, like being really good at Call of Duty, is more accessible to more people, it makes you feel good. And granted, in newer Call of Duty games, you know, we have the whole skill-based matchmaking argument, which I'm not really gonna get into now because that's just, it's a whole other can of worms. But yes, putting external factors like making YouTube videos, especially Call of Duty YouTube videos, and potentially streaming Call of Duty aside, if we just look at the games themselves, I might not be as interested or play them as much if I didn't do this full time, but there is still enough intrigue, there still is enough innovation, I feel like, to get me to still want to consider buying a new Call of Duty game every single year. But I think if I didn't do this full time, obviously I probably wouldn't do like the camo grinding and play as much as I do now. But man, I feel like it would still be really difficult to quit the series because I do still enjoy what they've put out. Even if it's not necessarily exactly what I want, they're not going to be able to make a game that's going to please everyone. That's just the reality. But what I do really appreciate is the fact that Sledgehammer Games has tried so hard to undo the damage that Infinity Ward caused last year with Modern Warfare 2 by just not really listening to the community and not really trying. It didn't feel like they were trying, right? Whereas when you look at Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer specifically, I'm just talking about multiplayer, not zombies, not the campaign, not Warzone, just multiplayer, which is the thing that most of us play. We're constantly getting regular updates, patches, fixes to things, new content, new guns, new maps, game modes, everything. Even though in the past it hasn't always worked, the aftermarket parts as well. It's just, there's so many things. So many things that Sledgehammer Games has done right, and I feel like they do deserve the recognition for that. But I do want to put a little asterisk there because there still is the discussion to have about, you know, classic OG Call of Duty versus the new era of Call of Duty that they basically coined that term. I do want to say that I don't think we will ever get like classic Call of Duty back. The old school era, the OG era, fun arcadey, Call of Duty shooty, just dumb fun. I don't think we're really ever going to get that kind of like golden era, you know, like COD 4 to Black Ops 2. I don't feel like we will ever get that back. But I also do understand that some of that does have to do with nostalgia. Like, the games were solid. They were great. If you grew up playing Call of Duty with that era and that, like, that time period of games, you know that even though they have a special place in your heart and that they are nostalgic for you personally in some way, shape, or form, if you did play those games. Even if you take off those rose-tinted glasses and put the nostalgia aside, there are so many fundamental, amazing things with different old Call of Duty games.
Let me know if you need.
All right, Siri, Jesus Christ, listening to the whole conversation. Anyway, on the main channel, Merc Music, I had a little mini-series, and I haven't done it in a minute, but I probably will bring it back. I did a series of short-form content, or like, you know, like TikToks and YouTube Shorts and stuff, called Old Features That Call of Duty Hasn't Had in Years. I've had like 20 plus parts. I still have my notes saved of other features that haven't come back as well. There's so many different things, so many parts of the formula that have still never come back. These are just, you know, features ranging from all kinds of stuff like theater mode just not being a consistent thing in the games, even though it is really important to have, or even just dumb things like Last Stand and Martyrdom. Like, even though it was super frustrating back then, it's part of what gave these games their identity, like COD 4, Worlds at War, and it's even more insane to think that there was a progression of these stupid broken things like Last Stand and COD 4. Sure, it was annoying. Snipers didn't like Last Stand, right? Well, in World at War, if multiple people use Second Chance, they could revive each other and get off the ground with their pistol. And then Modern Warfare 2 had the genius idea of death streaks, where you can fall into Final Stand and have a full auto gun while you're down. It's like, sure, you have to earn the death streak, but they also still had Last Stand, and they even implemented Last Stand Pro, a pro version of the perk for Last Stand. Like, it's just crazy. Now, obviously, I'm going to ramble on this channel, but to make a long story short, I don't feel like we're ever really going to get that time period, that era of Call of Duty back. And a big reason why I think that's just never going to happen is because they clearly just don't want it to happen. Like, we had Modern Warfare Remastered, and that's the only, like, full Call of Duty experience that we've had remastered. We got kind of close with Modern Warfare 2, the original one from 2009, but they only did the campaign, and there's a reason why they won't bring it back. The reason they're not remastering older Call of Duty games or even trying to bring back that certain time period is because they are succeeding with the new era of Call of Duty. It's doing well enough that they don't really need to go back. If anything, it could be a bigger detriment to, well, I guess now Microsoft and Xbox, but, you know, Activision as well, if they just did remasters and just tried to, like, surface up basically just more of the same. So that's why they're trying to do new things. Like, I do get it, though. It's soft reboots. It's really not, like, new, super innovative games. They're actually kind of taking these sub-series names like Modern Warfare and Black Ops, and they're using that to sell new games and stuff, right? But come on, man, if you played back then, you know that these newer games, it's not the Modern Warfare or the Black Ops that you grew up with. At least I'm sure that's how a lot of us feel, and I do feel the same way. There's things that I do like about newer Call of Duty games and things that I also don't like as well. But putting nostalgia aside for a lot of the old Call of Duty games, that also still applies. There's things in the old games that I don't like, and there are things that I absolutely love about the old games too. But the whole reason I'm mentioning this in the first place is because that does kind of factor into my decision about, you know, potentially quitting Call of Duty at some point. The reason I'm mentioning the differences and the similarities between, you know, old Call of Duty and new Call of Duty is because if they really didn't care about the roots and they weren't trying to bring back the things that we love, but like do it in a new way that still makes it like fresh and unique and fun and stuff, if they weren't doing that and they were just actually just putting out constant trash and doing new things that we absolutely hated, then yeah, that would probably drive me further away from playing Call of Duty than what they're doing now. And I guess that does lead us to another interesting question, but maybe that could be for a different video, which would be, what would Call of Duty have to do to actually get me to quit, right? But I can see that I've been recording for 22 minutes and this is probably enough yapping, so I think we're gonna call it there. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. For the time being, I don't see myself quitting Call of Duty anytime soon. But I actually just realized that GTA 6 is coming out next year, so I'm kidding. I'm not gonna quit Call of Duty, but I mean, maybe we'll take a little bit of a break. It could be a prolonged break from the Call of Duty stuff. More realistically, I'll probably be going like back and forth. I mean, even when GTA 5 was out, Call of Duty Ghost was out. I still played and uploaded Ghost stuff, so 2025 could have an absolutely terrible Call of Duty game, and I'll probably still play it, because here's the thing too. I love playing actual good, solid Call of Duty multiplayers and stuff. I also love playing terrible Call of Duty multiplayers. The stuff that I really don't like, and it would be the type of thing that would get me to quit Call of Duty, is if they were just putting out boring garbage. If they were making COD games that were not good, but also not bad either, and they're just like in this weird, like, in-between, then yeah, I'd probably quit. But yeah, man, that's enough from the Apatosaurus Rex. Thank you guys very much for watching this video and hanging out with me. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys want to see more stuff like this. I'll see you guys later.